Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Romaine. I am the chair of the Tree Advisory Commission meeting. I would like to call the Thursday, September 3rd, 2020 Tree Advisory Commission meeting to order. Sitting to my left is Commissioner Greg Dearson, and to my right is Commissioner Ellen Van Cura. We have the agenda in our packets, and I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda or modify it if need be.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Dearson, seconded by Van Cura to approve the agenda. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Commissioner
Aye.
Dearson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Cura?
Aye.
Aye. And the agenda is approval. And next item of business is the approval of minutes of the July 8th, 2020 minutes. Is there a motion for approval, or is there a need for amending the agenda?
I reviewed them before I came, and I move that we approve them. Minutes from the July 8th.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's all in favor signify by saying aye. Commissioner Dearson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Cura?
Aye.
Aye. And the minutes are approved. Moving on to old business, item 5.1, 2020 city reimbursement programs and budget update. Mr. Stadheim?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, through the end of August, we've had a total reimbursement amount of $2,394.29. And we have a budget, 2020 unused balance in the tree commission budget of $6,436.05. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions?
One thing I should note, Mr. Chair, is that reimbursement amount accounts for 26 newly planted trees.
Okay, hearing no questions, let's move on. I need to find my way back to where I was. PUC update or news? Mr. Nelson?
Good evening, Derek Nelson, Public Utilities. As of right now, there's no update. Still have plans for hopefully something next year with trees. It's kind of based off of research done on saplings. So I'm looking to do a massive planting of sapling trees with public utility staff as kind of a get out in the community type event within the utility. So nothing's been approved yet, and with what's going on now with the pandemic, I haven't done much more research into that. That'll probably be done over the winter, and then maybe something decided next year. So that's really the only update I have as of right now. Any other questions?
Yep. Any questions for Mr. Nelson?
And this is to replace the ash trees that we're losing?
No, really. I mean, it will help with that, maybe long term. But this just is something that, the Public Utilities has had a tree program for numerous years, probably back into the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Is how long they've had a tree rebate program. And just within the last year, I don't recall if you were a member of this commission yet or not, but I had to kind of axe that program due to state statutes saying that I could not use the funds I use within my conservation improvement programs towards trees. So this is just a way to still do something within the community regarding tree planting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Schmitz?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, members, Mr. Nelson, so that, I know that we stopped the relief program. Was that a state of Minnesota decision, or was that a federal decision?
Well, that's a state. So all my programs are overseen by the Department of Commerce. And I received a letter from them stating that that was not proper use of funds within those state statutes.
Right.
So all those programs that are offered through the utility, they have to capture a savings within the first year of installation or implementation of something.
Mm-hmm.
And in their eyes, trees do not. Because the trees we're rebating are 1-inch diameter trees,
Right.
5 to 6 feet tall. They're going to
Yep.
take X amount of years to capture
Yep.
the energy savings they feel
Mm-hmm.
deem fit into those
Yeah.
programs.
I remember you reporting that,
Yep.
a few meetings ago. I was just wondering if it was state or federal decision. Then my next question would be, do you see anything on the horizon from the state to potentially allow some sort of urban forestry program through the utilities?
I haven't heard that discussion yet.
Okay.
There is, and nothing occurred this last session, but there has been discussions of a lot of that whole program and how it's looked at being changed. So
Mhm.
I don't recall that specifically being within that in that discussion, but it could in the future.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr.
Yep,
Nelson.
thanks.
Item 5.3, Emerald Ash Borer update or news? Mr. Statham?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, can let Street Department Superintendent discuss this a little bit further, but they've started stump grinding on the south half of town, kind of in the State Street to Washington Street area of the ashes that have been taken down earlier this year. And then my staff has been working on identifying additional trees to come down with the remaining funds that we have. So I'm not sure exactly when the next round of removals will begin, but the process has started for the identification of those trees.
Okay.
Of the 225 trees that have been taken down, we've cut out 181 stumps so far. We have 44 to go. And it's basically from Franklin Street down to Payne Street, from center to 6 South. That's all we got left for this round of stump cutting.
Any questions on Emerald Ash Borer project? Okay, I have a question. At our last meeting, we had several resolutions that we passed thanking people for their part in the Emerald Ash Borer program and a commendation to recently retired city engineer Kaler. And I'm just wondering if anybody from engineering heard anything about that resolution of thanks coming through the city administration.
I guess I can't speak firsthand to that, but I'm assuming it made its way to Steve.
Okay, I will follow up on that then.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
May I ask a question about, is the recommendation to take the, I don't know, who's the Department of Commerce, to take down the ash trees before they show signs of the ash borer, or just let them die?
I think that
Were you just directing that towards myself?
Yes, I think.
What I was mentioned before has absolutely nothing to do with Emerald Ash Borer.
Who is?
The grant for the Emerald Ash Borer removal and replacement program is a program of the Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, DNR.
And the relief program that
Oh,
the Public
Right.
Utilities Commission used to be able to offer the citizens of New Ulm was funded through the Department of Commerce, so
okay.
it's easy to,
Yeah.
dealing
right.
with the alphabet soup is a problem, so.
So is the current DNR recommendation to take them down then? Does anybody know
the
before they're sick, or?
Yeah, I think staff has been looking at trees that are showing signs, working on the worst trees first, and then, hopefully we get more grants for this type of work, and then we will continue kind of in that process of getting the worst ones and then working our way up from there. So That's the target right now, are the ones that are showing signs, or the unhealthy
Okay.
ones right now.
The citizens inventory that we carried out a couple of years back helped to identify ash trees that were in declining health.
Yeah,
And that's sort of the target for trees that are being removed through the ash borer funding from the DNR for removal and replacement, so that we kind of get a little bit more bang for our buck by
Uh-huh.
taking trees down that might be a hazard and using the ash borer funds to do so.
to do so.
Yep.
Whether or not the DNR funds another round of removal projects is kind of still up in the air,
Yeah, it's,
particularly because the bonding bill has not passed this year.
yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions at the state right now.
Okay. So private owners, whether they choose to let their trees.
The funding was for trees on public property.
Yep.
On
So
public property, yeah.
Boulevard trees is what the
Right,
program's been
right.
concentrating
I
on.
think I understood that.
So yeah, if a resident were to have one on their private property, it would be up to them at this point,
Yes.
unless a different program comes along that we are able to take advantage of, but that's not the case right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The park department has done some work in treating of trees that would either postpone or obviate the need for removing
So you have
those
treated?
trees.
Are you choosing like park trees?
Yeah, thank you, Chair and members. A quick brief update from the Park and Recreation Department is we have treated I think it's 5 ash trees down in German Park, just
Okay.
above the top edge of the new Performing Arts Center.
Uh-huh.
Those have been treated with EAB prevention and actually some fertilizer. So we're hoping to
Okay.
keep those going, and we will be doing an annual or every 2-year treatment there as long as they seem to be
Oh,
healthy.
yeah.
Next update would be North Park. We are beginning to consider, there are some large, North Park is a 4 square block park, and the New Ulm southwest quadrant has some, what I would be some might consider to be, high value ash trees.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to be evaluating those and potentially inoculating and treating some or many of those in that portion of that particular park. They're big, nice, deciduous, healthy
Yeah,
looking shade trees.
yeah.
So as we identify high value, high quality ash trees, we're going to consider the cost effectiveness of treating those. And so we did some at German Park, and we're going to evaluate some in North Park and continue
Yeah.
to look for ash
that
trees
makes
that we
sense.
want to try to treat.
Sure,
End of that report.
thank you.
Other comments on Emerald Ash Borer, questions? Okay, moving on, item 5.4, Buckthorn update and Conservation Corps crew. Commissioner Van Cora.
Yes, the issue of invasive buckthorn has sort of taken on, in my mind, a different flavor, since buckthorn became a problem and was blocking everything else. But when you take out all the buckthorn, now we have to contend with what Molly Channel Nelson thinks is worse, and I'm getting at that point where I agree. Things like garlic mustard, Dame's Rocket, undesirable, the baker's lice, that's the plant that sticks to you. You can't even bag it without getting your clothes totally covered with little stickums. And so I'm a volunteer for the Park and Rec, and Brenda Longworth is a paid volunteer. And Brenda's been taking out most of the summer garlic mustard, Dame's Rocket, and she now is spraying 2,4-D on baker's lice. what I've been doing for over 55 hours now approximately, is there's a piece of property that until maybe 2-3 years ago was owned by the city of New Ulm. I call it, goes from the back door of Kraft up to Beacon. And just because I live in the neighborhood and walk and things like that, I discovered this incredible concentration of the most heavily buried buckthorn trees I've ever encountered anywhere in the city.
Wow.
So, knowing that it was Kraft, first I called the powers that be and then have a working relationship with the person in charge of grounds. And it was the same. He said, well, first of all, Kraft would not give any time release or donate any employee hours. He put up a sign and for volunteers, of which there were none. But then just like Perkins but if you want to do it, you can. So that's what I put in 55 hours myself, taking out only buried buckthorn. I'm not trying to clear, but to prevent spread to other parts of the city. So that's what I've been up to. It's very satisfying because there's so many. I think I'm not exaggerating when I've probably removed 1 million potential seeds of buckthorn, but it's going fine, and so that's what I'm doing. We also spent my neighbor, we walk in that area, and Beacon used the north portion of that property. There's less buckthorn there, much less, for garbage dump. And so we cleaned all that up through the winter. So that's what my volunteer hours for Park and Rec have done. So that's
Well,
that.
Yeah. It's wonderful, Ellen. I know you've removed much with your team in many different places of both public and private lands.
Yes.
There's been a lot of great success over the past number of years. And there are still areas
Yes,
in
of
the community
berries.
that are heavily
berries.
infested or lightly infested.
Yes.
So plenty of job security there.
Yes, there is.
Chipping away, especially at the female berry.
Female berries, yeah.
berry
That's-
plants.
And
So, good.
if it seems appropriate to remove all of it, I've been called that behind one of the ridgeways, there's a big, there's a,
Yeah, there's definitely spots.
yeah. So anyway, but that's where I hang out, behind Kraft. So I guess
you.
that's it for
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's fun.
And, our commendations once again to your volunteer effort on buckthorn and other invasive species. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that we are dealing with are invasives that are not on any kind of prohibited species list, so it's hard to enlist any other resources in this.
Yes.
And I'm really hopeful of some species that we can replace very young buckthorn with coming out of Jordy's research.
Yes, and he's told me, he comes by and I don't know, he'll, he's a busy person, he's works at MSU and then he works at Holiday and but he'll come down and just do whatever with me, and so we talk, and He's saying that right now, that grass, which I've observed, grass is the best thing to suppress invasives, buckthorn, yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever, okay.
Yeah, so Chair and members, Jordy Veit, team member on the Buckthorn Removal Brigade, he will come to the next meeting with an update on
Yes.
his University of Minnesota study
Yes.
in the Covered Up project.
Yes. It's good. He's got a nice sign there.
Any questions for Commissioner Van Kura? Thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Moving on to item 5.5, utility billing informational insert. Mr. Nelson. And then it says T. Romaine in here, but the credit for this
Yeah,
insert on the board goes to
Lisa
Lisa
Langer.
Langer. And
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you,
I must
Commissioners.
say it does. I
that
had
supplied
nothing.
material, it makes it much easier to come up with the graphics and everything. So thank you. But besides making sure everyone received a billing stuffer, I have nothing to report further. So
Well, thank you again for assisting us on putting that insert together, and I'm looking forward to the spring one when we try and put more information out there on invasive species and what people can do to control them in New Ulm. Thank you.
Yep.
Item 5.6, big tree contest. And in your packet, there's the entrance, the official measurements, and the big tree contest species list if we want to discuss 2021 species at this time. There were 3 entrants. Commissioner Body and I drove around one afternoon and measured the trees, and the big tree was Lloyd Showers at 79.5 inches of circumference. Has Mr. Shower been notified of his great victory in the big tree contest?
Chair Romaine and members, the letter has gone out for the winner at 128 South Highland Avenue. And I'm in the process, I will be coordinating with him a media event
Oh, nice.
so that we get this highly publicized in the media along with Mr. Shower. And so that will be forthcoming. So
That's-
very successful,
Yeah, that's really nice.
2020 contest, and it might be appropriate for the commission to consider the 13th annual contest for 2021. If you want to begin discussions on that, it's up to you.
Well, I'm wide open for suggestions on species. We may have to start over again on the list. There's not, we don't have to do it at this particular meeting, but we need to consider this perhaps next year, or not next year, next meeting, but the early meetings in 2021. I see butternut on the future ideas list, and I would recommend that we not use that one, because we'll be searching for the last surviving butternut within the city limits.
Yes,
Yeah, I would suggest
yes,
that
it was cut down on an empty lot.
that the commission let us know what you would like taken off of the potential list or added to the potential list. So we will remove butternut off that potential list.
Ash should probably come off too, so.
No, mountain ash, including mountain
Well,
ash?
mountain ash is not a true ash, it's a sorbus, it's a different genus, but,
Got it.
so mountain ash would be okay, it's a very small tree. But Kentucky coffee tree would be an interesting one, because it would be interesting to see how many of them are planted around the city, or will we be?
The only one I think I know is, or I think is a Kentucky coffee tree, is at Herman Height. Is there one there that you've noticed?
I haven't noticed one there.
There's quite a few around.
Pardon me?
There's quite a few.
Oh, there is
Kentucky
a.
coffee trees.
Yeah, the,
Greg, is there one in? up
It
at
was
Herman? Or you don't know, or you haven't
There's some
noticed?
small ones by there. but-
Okay. Yeah, that would be,
one of my ex-coworkers when I worked for the DNR was a amateur archaeologist, and he said that wherever you found naturally occurring clusters of Kentucky coffee tree, it was probably because the Native Americans had camped there, and they used to use the big seeds as like a poker chip in their gambling games. And then
oh,
when
interesting.
they moved on, they just discarded their chips. So, yeah, there's some clusters over along the Minnesota River, or Cottonwood River, excuse me, near the regional DNR office. So, anyway, you don't have to decide that here unless someone would like to make a motion about the species
Well,
choice for next year.
Well, I would make a motion that we choose the Kentucky coffee tree for the big tree contest.
Second,
Okay.
let's go for it.
Moved by Van Cura, seconded by Dearson, that the 2021 big tree species be Kentucky coffee tree. And all of those in favor, or pardon me, Commissioner Dearson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Cura,
Aye.
aye. So the species of choice for the big tree contest in 2021 will be Kentucky coffee tree, pardon me.
Do we need a motion to remove the ash tree
I
from?
don't know, I don't think we need a motion to remove ash and butternut, but it's just.
I have officially removed those from the list
Okay. There.
in
Go
the
ahead.
City Network Drive.
That's the,
If there's any others you
Efficient
want
way.
added to the list, let me know. Future list.
We may want to look through our inventory and see what other species are on there that we don't have on our list, but that's something I can bring to the next meeting.
yes, you are very knowledgeable.
Okay, well, that concludes old business for this meeting. Moving on to new business, the item 6.1 is the Tree Advisory Commission, and I'm not sure what business we need to do here, other than make sure that the information is correct. One thing I noticed is that we probably need to update the city engineer position.
Yes, I know.
Yes, Chair and members, it's just kind of a heads up. It's never too early to look at next year's roster. It appears in the packet there, you have the roster that Mr. Body, and Ms. Langer are expiring at the end of this year.
My question on Mr. Body is he was appointed to fill the
Correct. So,
unexpected term of Floyd Alwyn, so is he eligible to serve another term at
Yes.
this point?
yes. Yes, but Ms. Langer would not have,
Okay.
she's served 2 full, complete, consecutive 3-year terms for a total of 6 years. She has to sit out for 1 year, is my understanding at least. So there, someone can be talking to Mr. Body, or some people, and then we'll see what the mayor's got up his sleeve, or any potential new commissioner should contact the mayor.
We had discussed this with Jordy Veit,
Mm-hmm.
and
He
said
was on another commission.
That's correct, but he thought he might be available in 2021. We'd have to check with him.
He would be excellent.
Can you contact him?
Sure. I
Okay,
can.
thank you.
Oh.
And I'll get in touch with Arlen.
Yep, I will. Contact
I'll have
Jordy.
to find him in a weak moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other items for the good of the commission? Okay, hearing none, move on to the date of the next meeting is November 5th. And there being no more items to come before the commission, I'm adjourning the meeting at 4:32 PM.